I'm Kevin Dykes. I am co-founder and CEO of RetentionGrid. I'm an American doing business in Germany for the past 7 years. And I first came to Slovenia about 4 years ago with my good friend and investor, Jerry Colonna, who I know many of you know, also in invitation by Bestand Bregar, and to do some things with the SEED organization. And I joke with them that I think I'm Slovenian in a past life because I have just connected so well with the spirit of what I'm seeing here. It's not lost on me that doing this, taking this risk and risking failure has a lot more teeth here in Slovenia, both legally and culturally. So I can relate with the perspective of what you guys are doing. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been a creator of technology companies for about 20 years, built 5 companies over that time, and I refer to this as my gambling addiction. It's been fun to raise venture capital in 3 of those, to sell 2.5. You can do the math on that, but it's the half I'll talk about today, but especially trying last year. Let me first give you a bit of insight into my company and the path we've taken before I get into the lessons we've learned. There's some real good takeaways for you guys in how you're forming your business, how you build your company, and I think this story will resonate with you. We started 3 years ago. RetentionGrid is a platform for small and medium-sized e-commerce businesses to understand their relationship with their customers, where they are in the life cycle, and how to communicate with them and when to communicate to bring them back and buy more stuff. We started out on app stores like Shopify and others and had very, very rapid growth from day one, moving to thousands of new users every day from the day we launched. So it was quite a heady time. And we quickly were able to raise venture capital based on relationships we already had, and moved into the process of actually building the business, monetizing the free users. And that's when, of course, things always get a little bit dicey. We started out first, there were about 3 or 4 companies doing what we do in that space. And within about a year, there may have been 20, 25 serving small and medium-sized businesses with marketing technologies similar to ours. Prices were going down. Us being able to sustain the customers at that level was getting hard. And so we researched and determined that it made sense for us to sort of dial into our technology in more deeply and to go up market, to start serving the sort of global 3,000 with parts of our product. We partnered with SAP and their innovation center to build our first machine learning model and carried that forward. And we're able to really take our business up to serving much larger customers. And we saw that we had an opportunity to really partner with the large marketing clouds, the Salesforces and IBMs of the world, to better serve these customers. We raised more money and began what was really a big pivot over about 6 months, taking a lot of our technology off to the side that had been there and just had it keep running. Built a new brand, focused in on a new distribution model, a new business model, and in February of last year, really launched that out with a major distribution partnership in the works with one of those marketing clouds I mentioned before. And we saw sort of opportunistic M&A begin to happen. We thought we had about 1.5 years in front of us before the market began to change, where all these companies were making build-buy choices. We were wrong. That happened actually a little faster than we thought. So what was opportunistic M&A became sort of a necessity for us if we were going to survive. And we still had our major launch happening with Marketing Cloud at the sort of last minute around May of last year. They decided that, we'll build this inside instead of working with you guys. So it left us in a bad spot. Not enough KPIs to close the funding round that we needed at that point. Not enough runway to get out to next year, probably this time this year, to really see that $35 million pipeline turn into new business. So we were able to sell part of the business. It wasn't a giant transaction. It was a great outcome for the part of the team that went with it. It was unfortunately an underperforming asset for us at that time, even though it was the future of the world as we saw it. But we did learn a lot. We maintained RetentionGrid, that original product, and are back to growing that and finding new things with that. But let me take you through what I learned and the philosophy, kind of the flag under which we flew. run fast and break shit is kind of the way we prescribe in our business, and it's our founder team and all of our team. Try to get over the mountain as best you can, or it may be a big fireball. But if you're going to do that and operate in that way, you have to have some foundations in the way you do your business. We've all begun to adopt, lean startup and customer development and validation stages and how we build product. We've not really done the same thing in a framework for how we establish the business. Because in reality, people want their fucking money back if they're going to invest in your business. And even if you're not thinking about your exit on the day you have your grand idea for the company, what most people are wrong about is we're not doing this for money, really. That's a great outcome if it happens, but we want to create something from scratch that didn't exist before. So we have to start thinking kind of day one, get a few foundation pieces in place, make sure that if we bring in outside investors that they have an expectation that they'll get money back at some point, and then we run fast and break shit. So plan for M&A from the start. Most of us will not have an IPO. Very few of us will actually have an exit despite how many attempts we do this or how many companies we found. And honestly, even if you do have a transaction occur, it's quite often in about half of those 10% where the founder doesn't make anything because either a bad deal or bad fundamentals in your original investment structure, liquidation preferences. So make sure you look out 7 years when you found your company and when you raise your first seed round or when you join an accelerator and get your shit right. Make sure your investment agreement is done correctly and plan that you want to have an outcome for you and your stakeholders. This is sort of obvious, but I think a lot of people miss it. Your company, you don't sell your company is acquired. The psychology is different. The number of zeros on the number is very different. So you want to make sure you are prepared for opportunistic M&A, opportunistic investors, so that you're constantly fundraising, you're constantly building relationships, and whenever something is looking fantastic, you have choices. Instead of going, oh crap, let me spend 3 weeks trying to figure out if we actually have a choice. So make sure that you actually do the process and don't set out to sell your company. To build a company, and you'll have a lot of opportunity for people to do something with it and make you rich in the process. This is pretty controversial, and there's a lot of investors who will shake their head at this, but one thing that I really believe is that we as startups should actually begin strategic corporate development or corporate partnership development just post-seed funding. I don't mean BD or Barney partnerships. I mean talking with the corp dev teams. I don't mean startup programs or accelerators. I mean get access to the largest players that you may be gunning to take out because they know you exist, and they might even be afraid that you might do that. Opportunities are happening right now within large organizations, not all of them, but some of them, within their corp dev team, within their innovation teams, that can give you market access and expertise and timing and distribution and first customers, and yeah, maybe money, maybe not. But when you get down that path where you either need to sell or they are looking to acquire, these relationships really matter for you at that point. We didn't have that established well enough, and that left us without the options we needed in our business last year. This is a lot of words on a slide, but I want to take you through this. This is, if you take nothing else away from this, this session, founders, go back and do this. So our product, like many, is a very data-intensive product. I've spent most of my career building things that abstract complexity from business users, which means the demonstration of the product is sort of hard to really give the value of everything you've built, all your team and their contribution to your product. And so we as founders, as CEOs, as Bart said yesterday, our role is vision, team, money, which means we get further and further away from product, unfortunately, as we start building and the rigors on our time get to be where we're focused on fundraising and all those things. So when we finally did negotiate the term sheet, we were in technical due diligence to review that what we sold them is what we actually have. And so we spent about a day scripting the process where we'd showcase the team that built it, the process they used to build it, and what it actually does. And so I'll take you through it because it was a fascinating experience for me to see. Our VP product, my co-founder, did the general demo that we would usually do in front of an investor, in front of a potential customer. And then he took him into, how does it actually work? How do you get data in? Where's the integration point? Here's how the front-end code looks. Here's where the API connection fits. And then we handed off to our VP engineering, who talked them through the actual data pipeline and how the process worked, and to begin to see that we're touching a lot more data and a lot more things are happening. He handed off to our data scientist and the data architect to explain how the algorithm works, how the machine learning part is getting smarter, how we're using our own dashboards inside to be able to tune it for different customers. And honestly, half this stuff I had never seen before. And so I'm like, holy shit, we do all of this? We get into how our dev, test, QA process works, how our deployment process works, how we're using basically every service that Amazon Web Services has in our DevOps group. And when we're done, the guys are like, wow, I'm blown away. And that was the buyers. And I was like, fuck, we missed a chance. About 4 months before that, when we were having meetings with our investor to determine if they were going to dive back in and support us, they could see that we had market opportunity. We weren't quite sure how long it would take to get there, but it just didn't have enough proof to put more money in the bank. I think if we had done this for our team, for ourselves, and for our stakeholders, it would have changed the world. I think it would have changed how they saw us. And so I think we as founders should do this about every 3 months in your company, in your team. Script the process, make it a regular thing in your calendar. I think you'll find that you make better software and you have a better outcome with all of your stakeholders, because it is really impressive. Yesterday I talked with, 10 or 15 founders, and I think 10 or 15 founders all had machine learning involved in their business, which means they also have this sort of simple interface and a lot going on behind the surface. All right, more big words, but this is the business side of that. If you don't know what a data room is, go look it up. If you're doing it right now as a founder, make sure you know what a data room is and what is the structure of the information. This is the business version of that technical due diligence we were doing before. So a data room is how you go through the due diligence process with a large round of funding, with an M&A transaction, and there's a very definite approach of how this should be, how your financials should be, how your legals should be, how all of your investor information, all the liabilities and risks and insurance, all of your marketing and assets. So what I propose, what we've now done, is you structure your Google Drive from day one to follow a data room structure, and that way when you get ready, and well, actually when someone comes to you with that opportunistic, hey, we're interested in taking a look, you can press a button, transfer it over to a secure data room solution, give them the keys, and go back to running your business while they determine whether there's something of interest or not. So understand this and think this through from the outset, because it really can change. I wasted easily, I've sold 2 previous companies. I wasn't the CEO, I was a founder of those companies, but I wasn't the one running this process in those. And we didn't have it done right. And I spent weeks of my time off of the focus of the business to get this structure in place, painful and time-consuming. I've given a lot of information. If you want this sent to you in a deck, and I've got a bunch of backup stuff, just take a photo, send me an email, I'll send it all to you. I'll give you a second to take a quick photo of that. If you don't know venture math, learn it. If you don't know what a cap table is, then get deep in Excel and figure it out. A lot of founders will rely on their attorney or their investors to manage their cap table, the spreadsheet, and that's a mistake. Not that they will do anything wrong, they have your best intentions in mind. But you can't really model your scenarios, and as you get multiple layers deep in funding rounds, and some of them come in later than the others, and one guy has an option with a discount that's greater than the other guy, and then there ends up a convertible note in the mix, and it gets complex, and you end up having to really understand that well to know how to structure what's happening next for you. So if you don't rely on your advisors to do that for you, there's a couple of great services. CapEx and eShares, both have come out with this either as a product or as a feature in the past, I think, 6 months or so. They're pretty good, but I encourage you to just know Excel cold, to know your cap table cold, and to keep it open on your computer. I kept my cap table and my financials open on my computer and Excel all the time, because you're always in those and it helps you know what's happening in your business. This is probably a beer topic, but we had a very transparent culture from the start. We were 22 people at our peak when all this was going on, and we always had everyone know everything. Financials, salaries, unless someone did not want to share that, we tried to be as transparent within our team as we could. So when we got into this sort of challenging time, we of course maintained, we thought, that same process. Let's be open and transparent, except this is up and down and zigs and zags, and commitments are made that you get excited about and share with the team, and then holy crap, they don't actually come through, they don't call back for 2 weeks, or yeah, we'll do a term sheet if we can respond to that guy's term sheet, and that guy's term sheet is dependent on that guy's term sheet, and it ends up being a big mess. You as a founder, you as an entrepreneur, it's not any easier for you, but if you share that with your team, make sure they know what they're getting into. Make sure you know what you're getting them into. It is emotionally very difficult for everyone as this begins to skid out of control, which every startup does at some point. So figure out whether you're either going to be transparent or not. And I guess the last point is, if you're actually in this process, enjoy it. It's not many of us get a chance to actually be an M&A, so spend your time figuring out how to get all the foundation right, add this sort of framework to the rest of the methodologies you use in your business, and then really enjoy and build a great company. Thank you.